mean, I grew up in the suburbs in Kansas City.
Okay.
So I didn't grow up with dirt between my toes.
Right.
So fell in love with the Oregon scene in the 90s, early 90s, right out of college. And I started to travel here, became friends with people that had small vineyards and wineries, come out and work a harvest.
Cool.
You know, one year it was a week, next year it was 2 weeks.
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
And I was just smitten with the feel, the youthfulness of the industry.
Right.
So hatched this crazy plan, and in 2000 my wife and I sold everything, packed up the U-Haul, and out we came. All of my winemaking experience comes from on the job.
Cool.
You know, I started there as what they called the caviste, the cellar hand, cleaning the drains, doing all the work that nobody else wanted to do. And then slowly over time, after a couple of years, I became the cellar master as the winemaker. Veronique Joan lives in Burgundy. I got to watch the place in her absence.
Super cool. The name Ayres come from?
So it's a family name. So it was my mom's maiden name.
Okay.
And when her father passed away, my grandfather, there were no sons nor brothers in the family. So the family name stopped. So when we purchased the property in 2000, we thought it'd be a nice tribute to name it in honor of my grandfather. Well, in 2005, when it was established in 6th, Ribbon Ridge is an AVA.
Yep. One
of the geographical boundaries is an Ayres Creek, spelled the same way.
Interesting.
And we had no idea that it existed. You know, it's quite serendipitous.
Yes, it is.
We didn't even know where we were going to live. We didn't have. I didn't have a job. We just kind of figured it out as we landed. But being here, we were in Oregon for about 5 months. We got the phone call that this property was going on the market the next day.
Cool.
So I drove down at 7 o'clock in the morning. It was a hazelnut orchard of 90 plus years of age.
Yep.
It had the blight, so it was ready to go away.
Right.
But I knew that as long as our soils checked out,
Yep.
this was because I've had tons of bottles from Doug at Brickhouse.
Sure.
And then just over the hill is Beaufrere and Patty Green.
Yeah.
You know, so I know that the climate's got to be suitable.
Right.
So if the soils panned out, and I had a guy with the backhoe did 25 test holes, and you know, away we go. Because as a winemaker, I do the same basic vinification. I do the same cooperage. I do the same regiments, regardless if I'm growing it or a property we've leased that we farm, or I buy from 3 neighboring vineyards around here for one of the wines that we do. I think it helps make different wines, a different elevation, different aspect.
So you're saying the only variable in your production is fruit and location.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it really allows the place to express itself within
That's
the
what
glass.
that's what we're working for. Yeah.
I love that.
This is a wine we call Perspective. And Perspective is my attempt to showcase what Ribbon Ridge is all about. And so this wine is Ayres as well as 3 neighboring vineyards that just sell fruit.
Okay.
And so at this stage, we're the only winery here on Ribbon Ridge that's doing this concept, trying to integrate other sites to craft a wine which I call my AVA wine. I mean, when you think about it, Ribbon Ridge is tiny. It's only a mile east-west, 3 miles north-south.
Okay.
It's definitely the smallest of the AVAs. 16 was a warm year. So we started picking grapes the first week of September. And to me, these warmer years, the wines are darker. They're quite approachable early on. To me, this is more to the boysenberry. But here's there's a crazy thing that whenever I taste blind, and this is an aromatic profile that you're going to find in Ribbon Ridge, is when you pick up cinnamon, clove, or nutmeg, that baking spice.
Yep.
You can be pretty sure that it's grown from here.
That's good.
Thank you.
It's really good.
What I'm trying to do is, if my vineyard could speak, this is what she would say.
Okay.
So this is just a barrel selection of here.
Cool.
And this happens to be a barrel blend of all of the clones of Pinot that we have on the property.
Okay.
And so with the clone talk, the first time I was exposed to it, I was quite confused because I assumed that a clone was somewhat like they cloned Dolly the sheep.
Right.
And so the next sheep was the exact same. We really shouldn't use the term clone that way because these are really spontaneous environmental mutations.
Okay.
So due to their environment, they change. And why is that? Is the DNA to Pinot is not stable, more so than any other varietal. So they're all Pinot Noir, but they've all, so one might be earlier ripening, like we mentioned outside, the 115 is the first to ripen here. One might be a bigger cluster. One might be a smaller berry. One might possess flavors that remind you of red raspberries. Mine might be blueberries. So there's all these little nuances. And I kind of view the clones as like herbs or spices in your pantry.
Yeah.
You want more than salt and pepper.
Right.
So having multiple clones allows you as a winemaker to layer different flavors in the wines that you create. And so what I've done here is just done basic descriptors. If you were to have the Dijon 113 by itself, those maybe some of those adjectives you would have with that wine.
Right.
And because when it comes down to it, these are just descriptors. And that's the crazy thing with wine. You think about, you take grapes, which is a fruit, and you use other fruit to describe it. Well, rarely do you say that. It
never tastes like grapes.
Yeah, it's like that apple tastes like a banana. That doesn't happen.
It is interesting.
But through the magic of fermentation, you take a grape and then you are able to get all these other flavors.